Chronic traumatic encephalopathy, or CTE, is a neurodegenerative disease linked with repeated blows to the head. Most documented cases have occurred in athletes involved in contact and combat sports. Symptoms include confusion, disorientation, dizziness, and headaches, and eventually can lead to dementia, Parkinsonism, ocular abnormalities, speech problems, and inappropriate explosive behavior. There is no specific cure or treatment. We watch Slapshot and Goon.
Ah, the French champagne.
Champagne!
The schlocky movie from this week may be the schlockiest film we've ever seen on this podcast.
I'm Mr. Pink.
Sis Blue.
So Miranda hasn't seen Reservoir Dogs.
Those men's children are all identical clones of Adolf Hitler.
Once they were men, now they are land crabs.
Amanda Bynes is a national treasure.
There's like a bunch of other shit that happens in Driven.
Is there?
Secret Nazis.
Yeah.
Secret Nazis.
And Daddy lost his eagle.
I hope
So-
no one from my family listens to this podcast.
The Citizen Kane of the week is... Yo, schmoes. Welcome back. We got another fun potty waddy for you. And this potty has the best body in all of the potty world. This is Citizen Kane versus. This is a movie podcast. We take one movie that is considered to be more of a classic, and we pair it against a movie that is considered to be more schlocky, and we ask ourselves honestly, truly, to our souls, which is better. My name is Jack Rennie, and I'm joined by my two friends, one,
Sean Jacklin.
very, very clear. Thank you for that. And the other,
Daniel Benoit.
who's once again joining us as from his AI.
Yeah.
We've had an AI listening to this podcast for a number of years now, and it's been compiling data on Dan, and now this is the AI.
And he missed the week last week, so we replaced him with the AI composite that we've created.
Correct.
Yeah.
So AI Dan, welcome.
Thank you.
Commit to this.
What do you think about butts, Dan AI?
I like butts.
Hey, flawless.
I feel like that's what AI Dan would say.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think
based on all the
AI
knowledge
Dan
we
would
have.
be like, I would have a bit more fun with it though. AI Dan would know that Dan would be like, ooh, give me some butts.
Butts.
I don't take notes, Jack.
The AI does. That's all I'm saying.
Right.
Yeah. That's why I like the AI.
Woo! I like butts.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's the
So we got a couple fun hockey themed movies this week, this episode, and they are kind of our first fan submissions from a longtime friend, now longtime fan. He's been reduced from friend to fan.
To fan.
He was my
for
friend.
statistical purposes.
Now he's just a fan.
Yeah.
Thanks, Griffin, for this one. We got the classic Slapshot from the 70s versus the Canadian, more contemporary schlock, Goon. Yeah.
Good.
And I'm glad to be getting. Have we done sports movies yet? We did like a
we
basketball.
did the
thing
wrestling.
before.
We did wrestling. We did Coach
Yeah.
Carter and
We did
Space Jam.
and we did Driven Week.
Right. I mean sports though, like not like.
What did
Not
we
gonna
do
get into
Driven
that
against?
argument.
What was
Like,
Driven up against again?
Days of Thunder.
Oh yeah, both are like sports racing films.
Yeah. Like luxury hobby films.
This one felt like
Yeah,
this one
sports.
felt like an authentic sports week though.
Yeah, like real sports. Yeah,
Like
totally.
real sports.
We also did most vertical primate.
Yeah, that's right.
You son
Like
of
in a
bitch.
hockey movie where the I
It was
really
half
thought
hockey,
it-
half skateboard. No,
I didn't realize that those movies were so much about hockey when I thought it was just about him being a skateboarding ape.
No, the first one's about hockey, and we're gonna when we do watch it, we'll learn about it.
That's great.
Yeah.
I can't wait.
Yeah.
And so it's fun to have. Honestly, I was pretty excited to get Goon on here.
Yeah.
Repping some Canadian stuff. This is full of all kinds of Canadian talent. Of course, most notably, it was created by Jay Baruchel, one of our biggest exports in recent years, leading voice actor behind How to Train Your Dragon. So there you go.
Yeah.
One
That's
season star of Popular Mechanics for Kids alongside Alicia Cuthbert.
Was that show only on for one season?
He was only on it for one season. or did he pick up? There were two male hosts, and one was only there for like one season and then left to go be famous, and then the other one picked up and did the rest of the run, but I don't know if he was the first or the second.
I feel like he was the second. I feel like he is the one who is like well known for that show.
Because of that? So the first one, I
Yeah.
guess, left to go seek riches and did not a Ryan Gosling become.
Ooh. And the goal is to a Ryan Gosling become.
Yes.
This bit of pain in your voice. So yeah, and I'll jump into this isn't really a fun fact, but like it's always cool. It just like I don't know, it's just a neat feeling, right? Like because Dan, you're like the most in the film world of any of us.
Mhm.
I'm not really, but we're like adjacent. Like we have friends that work in film and TV and movies and stuff like that in various
And you do the
capacities.
occasional film and TV spot.
Yeah, I've been known to frequent the TV saloon, and like
You can see me in the background of one of the seasons of Handmaid's Tale wearing a funny hat.
check it out.
Yeah. If you find it, let me know because I haven't watched it.
Sean actually was Joseph Fiennes' body double for most of that season. Anytime that he's not facing the camera, that's Sean.
It's just my back, baby.
It's uncanny when you look at them from behind.
My back is classically trained.
Like their rumps are perfectly symmetrical.
Yep.
Dan, hit that catchphrase.
Ooh, I like butts.
Yeah, there you go. So, but I actually got to meet. I recognized a guy. He's the first dude I think that he punches when he joins the hockey team. Is a guy named Daniel Skeen. And he's actually the son of a pretty established stunt guy in Canada named Rick Skeen, who I went to a stage combat workshop out in Banff many years ago, and he was there teaching stunt stuff for that. And he had his two sons there, one of them being Daniel, and they like worked with him and they did stunts and stuff, and they worked on Goon. And so I think the guy Daniel was actually Sean William Scott's skating double for a bunch of the movie, but
That
also
makes
got
sense.
to have that shot where he got punched in the face. We got to have an on-camera moment as well, which is pretty fun.
Right.
They're super nice people, and like
Yeah.
if you go to like Rick Skeen's IMDb, it's honestly crazy. It's it's like 120 credits. It's just that kind of thing where you work on 20 movies a year or something. Not 20, but you know what I mean.
Yeah.
That's crazy. There's a shitload of money in stunt work too, so he's probably rolling in it.
He's out in Winnipeg, so he's like king of the stunts in the prairies, where there's like a decent.
Oh, that's his fiefdom?
Yeah.
His weird fiefdom?
It is absolutely his fiefdom.
Yeah. Weird fiefdoms.
On your drunk.
I'm not, thank you very much.
He's trying. So yeah, that's again, I don't know if it's a fun fact, but it's a fact. It's a fact that
I had fun listening to it.
Entertainment industry is small.
It is.
That is true.
Like
That is
if
true.
you wanted to, you could probably meet Jay Baruchel
Oh, 100%.
by like just posting on social media, like, "Hey, who knows Jay?" And someone would be like,
Yeah.
"Oh yeah, I know Jay." And
By
you'd
just-
be like, "Where is he?" And then you could just like find your way to him.
Just like accidentally walking down a street in East Toronto while they're filming Man Seeking Woman or something.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
He also strikes me as the kind of person that if you just like added him on Twitter, he would just respond to you and like meet you for a beer.
You should
Maybe.
you should add Jay on Twitter for this episode and say, "Hey Jay, we watched your fucking movie."
Yeah. Your breakthrough producer effort.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Didn't
much
he
respect.
directed it too, didn't he?
I don't think he
Oh,
directed.
he
He
wrote it.
wrote it. He helped write it.
Are you sure?
I don't think.
Yeah,
that's
dog.
his-
Yo, I think he fucking directed it.
All right. Well,
I think the director was Michael Dowse because I'm reading it.
Right. Okay. Well, that sounds more accurate.
Yeah.
Boom. That's what they call a read in the industry. Does anyone else have any fun facts or even just facts about these films?
I mean, I'm full. I got really prepared for this episode because, like the Goon era of hockey from like the 70s to the early 90s is a fascinating phase, era of sports for me. So
Yeah.
You can hit me up with Goon questions. I might have some facts to throw back at you, but I'll tell this little fun story.
Do it.
The 1974, I think, Philadelphia Flyers were called the Broad Street Bullies. They were the first team to really like weaponize having goons on your team, and they rode that dynamic to 2 Stanley Cups in a row. And the Soviet hockey team, men's hockey team, was coming to do a goodwill tour of the NHL, and they were playing like the original 6, and then they were going to play a couple of the expansion teams, Philadelphia being one of them. So they went through and they trounced every single NHL team they came across because it was the fucking like Soviet men's hockey team, and they were elite scorers, just insane.
Yeah. It was like their national team.
Yeah, and they got to Philly for the final game of their North American tour, and the Flyers were like, we're not going to let ourselves be disgraced like this by the Soviet hockey team. So they went out there and essentially just stood at the blue line every time they came in and leveled the shit out of any Russian player that skated past them. For about like 11 minutes, they just destroyed them physically, and the coach pulled his team from the ice because he was afraid for their safety. They stayed in the locker room for 20 minutes saying, we're not going back out there. And the tour manager was like, if you don't play this game, you're not getting paid for the tour. So they came back out and proceeded to lose heavily against the Flyers, who just beat the ever-loving shit out of them.
Okay, so here's my question then. Were the rules just different in hockey in the 70s? Because based on the way that Slapshot portrays hockey, it seems like you can just go around and fucking attack whoever you want and you know, slash people in the face with your stick, and there's no consequence.
Yeah, no. Like that's still interference. Essentially everything that happens in Slapshot is interference. It's everything the Hanson brothers do is interference.
Interference plus like assault, like
yeah,
and then the final thing is just people like straight up when it gets to like hockey stick jousting
and fencing or whatever that was,
and it's hit, like slashing people in the ankles.
Yeah.
Okay, so when you talk about people about them just like posting up the blue line and attacking people as they come, do you mean just the people who are trying to cross the blue line with the puck?
Whoever, if you were a Soviet player and you had the puck and you were crossing into Philadelphia's zone, you would be on the ground in pain.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
I mean, there is something very satisfying about that story.
That.
Just Russians getting demolished.
and Kazakhstanis and Ukrainians and Polish people.
Yeah, the whole lot, all of them. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
America.
Interesting. So I guess like my closest point of reference for I guess like the Goon era would be Ty Domi on the Leafs. Like that's kind of the only one that I know of.
That's a classic late Goon era Goon. Yeah.
Okay, but this was a thing in hockey where they had people who were brought in just to fight.
Yeah, you like Wayne Gretzky is fragile. He was a brittle little boy. And like if someone hit him, he was going to break, and then the Oilers would lose their $1 million investment, you know? So you paid players who were there not to like necessarily score goals or get assists, but just to protect the valuable assets that are on the ice and send a message to anyone who even like skates by Wayne in an improper manner. Then you'd probably get your teeth handed to you.
Interesting.
Yeah. And there are versions, like it has changed now. It still exists. Yeah. Now there are pests.
Yeah.
It's no longer about being a goon. Now it's like the Marchand style player where they are very good. They're a hockey player, but they're also there to like get under your skin. Our Leafs have Bunting right now, who just like gets in front of the net and just like clearly makes everyone angry.
Yeah,
you know, and
penalties. Yeah,
and it's there so people aren't thinking about the other people on that line who are dangerous.
Yeah.
more dangerous than he is, at least, right? So
But
it does exist in a different way.
But is that kind of extreme aggression still allowed in hockey? Like, obviously, fights still exist. So
You just can't instigate them as he's like in the early 90s they modified the instigator rule so that like if your star player gets hit by their goon and then you go and you clock him in the back of the head and then start a fight, like maybe you both are fighting with each other by the end, but like you're the first one that just snuck up and hit him in the back of the head to start the fight, you're getting, I think it's the 5-minute offset major for fighting. There's a 10-minute misconduct penalty, and I think you're out for the rest of the game.
So what caused the shift? Why did they change the rules? Did someone die?
Well, no, because hockey games were like ending in full line brawls regularly.
Right.
Yeah, there are like stories of, again, speaking of Philly, of like wasn't there that one famous time that like the players went over the boards, kind of like in Slapshot, and started fighting fans? That
was one of the Broad Street Bullies. Yeah, he I forget what happened, but yeah, he just got pissed off, jumped over the boards, and took out a bunch of fans.
So like
Ty Domi did that too. He pulled someone into the box with him.
In Philly, though, wasn't it?
Yeah, it wasn't Philly.
It wasn't. It was still in Philly.
The Philly fan was pissing him off, so he reached up and pulled him over into the penalty box with him.
That's pretty incredible.
So, yeah,
anyways,
it's like
that's fun hockey.
It's kind of awesome. So let's. I imagine now our one fan at home is wondering. Please tell me more about these movies in some sort of boxing themed summary lineup. So let's give it to him.
In the red corner, representing the classics. When the local mill closes down, the city's hockey team tries to keep themselves afloat by resorting to insane amounts of brawlish goonery on the ice, literally just beating the crap out of everyone. Will the boost in popularity save the team, or are there things outside the game more worth fighting for? Coming in at 123 minutes, starring Paul Newman and Jennifer Warren, Slapshot! And in the blue corner, representing the schlock, the dum-dum of a family of smarty pantses finally gets to use his nearly superhuman ability to kick ass when he gets hired to be a goon for the local hockey team. Literally just beating the crap out of everyone. He seems to be just what the team needs, but one legendary brawler will stand between them and their playoff dreams. Coming in at 92 minutes, starring Sean William Scott, Liev Schreiber, and Allison Pill, it's Goon!
So, I have much to say and many questions, so let's please jump right in with round one. Story. Good? Fight. Fight is essentially the story of these movies.
Fight so you can fight later.
Fight.
Mm-hmm.
Fight to save the community center. Fight to save your small town or something.
Well, fight to save your jobs on a hockey team. Or fight to earn the love and admiration of your peers.
But not your parents?
But not your parents.
Well,
Yeah.
you fight to earn the love and admiration of your parents, but
and they reject you
to varying success, right?
Right.
Or to a lack of.
Yeah.
Okay, so I think I want to start with Slapshot.
Okay.
Great.
Can someone, because I just have big questions here. Like what is happening, and like why is anyone doing anything in this movie, and is it what genre is it?
That was my biggest fucking question.
It's like this. The 70s did it best. The genreless movie.
It's more Animal House than it is like Rudy, that's for sure.
But then it's like, I was like, oh wait, is this supposed to be like Saturday Night Fever, where it's actually like a rough and tumble, like life is tough movie, but there are moments of humor-ish thing in it? Because it starts with like a full airplane bit,
Yes.
Like I thought I was watching where like there's two people clearly wearing like toupees, and they have like a pretty standard bit of the era where someone is being hurt and they're not responding to it, and then saying like bland, like announcer voice kind of lines.
Yeah,
And I was
it
like,
felt
that's
like
a
Spinal
bit...
Tap. It felt like I was about to watch an early Spinal Tap or something. Yeah.
And I was like, okay, cool. And then it like just left genre entirely.
It became at certain points it was like a yuck teen sex comedy. And
Yeah.
and at other points it was like
Full
a
drama.
full drama. You got your sports movie in there. And then the one takeaway I have from watching this, especially after watching like Rocky and Saturday Night Fever,
Right.
films of its era, is that masculinity in the 70s was extremely breakable.
and and fucking fragile, man.
So fragile.
Unlike now, hashtag Oscars. Okay, so like, and this is the thing, like this movie is like really consistently homophobic
Yeah.
in its use of that F-bomb, just a lot, and like the general accusations that are being made about it.
Including an up to your wife
dyke.
likes women, so you are gay.
Yeah. So you're a queer.
Yeah.
Like just total, and every man is furious about most of this, essentially. And like,
And he uses it to affect the owner and her son, to like drive her mad over her son.
yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
And the thing is, like, so like the way that women are treated in this movie is like not great, very of the era. They get to have some characters though, like they get to be in the movie, but it feels like if you're not being had sex with or something, like, then it's not much of a place for you. And so there's a lot of that, like a lot of groupies and whatever. And I was like, okay, this feels pretty much of the era. And then it got to the scene where it's revealed that the owner is a woman. And I was like, okay, movie, were you building up to this kind of moment where it's like,
Ooh.
where it's about, is this movie about like toxic maleness?
I definitely thought that scene was going to be the like where the thesis is revealed a little bit, you know, and it would all click into place, and I'd suddenly understand the direction of the movie.
But then it's not really. Then she's just like she's just like a robot to her accountant. She's like, my accountant says no, and then he's like, your son fucking sucks dicks, fuck you, and like that's the end of it. But then it also ends with the scene of what's his face stripping down, and all the men, the manly angry men who are fighting, they stop fighting, and all the even angrier men who've been brought in by Syracuse or whatever stop, and they're like pleading and yelling at the ref to make them stop because it's awful. And I have to imagine it's because it is something kind of queer, like,
for sure, yeah,
right, like that's why
it's male nudity, it's gross.
They're like, this is awful when they're fighting, and I was like, okay,
but the ref is like, if I stopped that, I would have had to stop every hockey game for like, isn't that one of his lines? He's kind of like,
was it?
Well, because the guy was like, this isn't hockey, and the ref was like, this isn't hockey. Have you seen what's been happening? Or something like that. Yeah.
Tying into violence.
So I wondered if that was like the thesis of like this substantially lengthed movie of like 2 hours of just watching men be pretty awful and very anti-gay and not super caring to women.
Anything not heteronormative and masculine.
Yes. Yeah. And then this final scene, and I was like, are you doing a commentary on what's happening? It kind of looked like it, but I don't think it is. I think it's supposed to be a yuck thing. Like, they stopped fighting because it was like a guy stripping. Like, I don't know. Help me.
I mean, I think that is giving this movie far too much credit. I think you're probably closer in assuming that they're trying to return to the yuck style that they set up in the beginning. I was confused by what prompted the naked dance to begin with.
What are you talking
Well,
about?
he wasn't gonna fight, but he was gonna win the hockey game his own way.
So is the idea that he did his striptease knowing that would aggravate the other team so much so that they would assault the referee?
That's something what happened. I think like chaos was the objective, or like
Interesting.
it is interesting because it is a weirdly, in the end, if I interpreted it as, he is someone who has sworn off violence. He says he's not going to win hockey games with that boorish behavior, so he goes out and he does his striptease on the ice instead. That it's ending the movie by saying that violence has no place in the game, that it is as ridiculous to have these teams beating the shit out of each other as it is to have them go out and do a little strip routine down to their jock straps. But it comes at the end of a 2-hour movie where violence is celebrated at every opportunity possible.
Yeah. This is like also seems to be a thing of the 70s genre, like Saturday Night Fever, where it's like pretty terrible person, pretty terrible, people are pretty terrible, redeeming final scene. Hey, what do you think? All right, well, credits everyone.
End of movie.
And maybe they're not so bad. Good night. And like that's a tricky format to watch.
Goon does the same thing, I would argue. Goon ends like they give him his last fight after dragging us through his like long dark night of the soul, where he's being questioned about his purpose in life and his purpose in hockey, and he's been rejected in his role even though it's all he ever loves. But we're led to believe that maybe violence, like this kind of violence, is just a clown show and it ruins people's lives and they're forced into it, like Liev Schreiber's character is. But then it ends with giving them the fight and him like with his love in the locker room, and it's fine.
Yeah, but I think that the fight is more important and more symbolic in Goon than it they do glorify violence to a degree, but I think that the story is a lot deeper in Goon because just because of all that it means to him personally, right?
Yeah,
Whereas,
for sure. There's definitely a character there.
Yeah.
Yes.
So speaking of character, can someone tell me which character we're supposed to be following in Slapshot? Like whose movie?
It's Reggie's.
Reggie is the owner?
Like
the coach.
The coach.
coach?
Player coach, yeah.
Paul Newman.
Yeah.
And
Definitely.
his character, his journey is
Acceptance that he is entering a new phase of his life.
gotcha.
Ooh.
Gotcha.
That's lame.
Is
that really it?
That's got to be it, because there isn't really much of a change.
He's fighting the entire movie to keep the hockey team either where it is or move it to a place where he can like quasi retire or whatever in Florida, but to keep his pals around him and keep the life that he's used to around him. And then in the end, his wife finally leaves him, and then he gets like a coaching gig in Minnesota, which is not Florida.
But he's still
Very
coaching.
much not.
He's not forced out of hockey.
He's still coaching, yeah. But he's not going to be out there taking hits to the face.
I would have
He
had
doesn't
him
learn anything, eh?
No.
He just accepts that he's old.
Wicked.
I was hoping that he
Right?
would learn the lesson of the absurdity of making violence the basis of your entire approach to the sport. That would have made more
No.
sense.
It was very popular then.
And you gotta
Go ahead.
go
Jack.
ahead. Okay, fine. Well, and you gotta give credit to that era to make movies where it's like again, it's like two hours.
Yeah.
And it's like, and so he like realizes that this thing is actually causing him more pain and it ruined his relationship, and he might still have a chance if he just let it go. she's still there in that city. Maybe she's kind of, it's that door isn't fully closed. What's that? The door is closed now, and doesn't know that there's even a door there, and she's leaving, and he's gonna keep. Oh wow, fuck! And like that's
Yep.
the movie where that movie made now would probably end with him like leaving the game or something. Well, maybe not. Who knows? People make all kinds of stuff.
Yeah.
It wouldn't be made.
Going and
That's
joining
true.
the Ukrainian forces.
Yeah.
Yeah. If it was made in Hollywood now, yeah.
My-
Was he trying to fuck that dude's wife? Was that the whole
Yeah. I have no
point of that
I
B story?
I don't think he was. I think he was being purposely aggressive in order to make one of them choose an action. I think he was like being an instigator, I think was what he was trying to do.
It seems like it was mostly about Brady, right?
Braden.
Brady,
Yeah.
Brady, the player. Like he wanted him to be engaged in what was going on in one way or another. So either he was going to get their relationship done with so he could stop worrying about it, or he would get him angry, as he does eventually do, and that he sees that as a victory, like he's joining the dark side.
Yeah, I guess he does punch him in the
Right.
face before he goes, and then he attacks does he get attacked, or he attacks the announcer?
He just
he goes
commandeers the
up there.
microphone.
Right,
Yeah.
yeah. And then the announcer bites him. Yeah, and the
No,
announcer
he-
gets super like fucking aggressive.
He pushes the team manager like through a door
Yeah.
and down some stairs,
Yeah,
and that's never even like addressed again.
yeah.
But that guy's probably dead.
So let's talk about whether
Yeah.
Sean William Scott deserved the beating at the hands of the ex-boyfriend. I'm here to
Oh,
argue
man.
no, that was a weird like step too far for that movie to take.
Yeah.
I think that he definitely didn't, like, the character did not deserve it, but I can see why he would think that he deserves it. Like, he's such a
Yeah.
simple man who actually has this gigantic heart and realizes that he has probably destroyed this relationship. He can't see the fact that if it wasn't him, it was just going to be some other guy, right? And all he knows, his entire problem-solving mechanism is violence, right? So
I see.
I-
Okay, you have explained it effectively for me to accept it as part of the film's progression. Thank you.
It's
You're
still a bit
welcome.
weird.
it is weird. It
Like,
is
it's-
weird.
And it's weird that the fucking ex-boyfriend also like hits him so much that his face is all fucked up. Like that guy is also fucked. Like if someone came to your door and was like, "Hey, I ruined your relationship, so you can hit me if you want," I'd be like, "That's a wild thing to come and offer," and like I'm not gonna hit you. You know what I mean? I feel like that could have been also the scene where the boyfriend's like, "No,"
Yeah.
Well, especially because
gives him a weird push. He's like,
they-
"Get away
Yeah.
from me."
they seem to make a point of trying to establish the boyfriend as more of like a sophisticated and proper character that doesn't really like to just look at him. He doesn't really fit the small town world that they've built, right?
He looks like Ivy League.
Yes, exactly.
They cast him like that.
Ooh.
Wow, damn, so many more questions.
I know. There's a lot in those movies.
There's a lot. Well, we'll touch on them again as we get through other things. So that's the end of story for now. So we're going to take potentially a little ad break. And even if one doesn't play, we'll just begin talking in our next round. So here it is. And just like that, we're back. Back skis on the snow. Okay, so let's jump right in to our second round, which is round 2. Production. Good? What y'all think?
I think this is a round that feels a little more imbalanced to me than maybe our previous one.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
Think you're right there.
Yeah. I mean, there
You
is
said imbalanced? As in-
imbalanced. Unbalanced?
Okay.
Imbalanced.
No, imbalanced. You're
Imbalanced.
right.
Is the right word, right?
Yeah.
There's a
Yeah.
lack of balance.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
Go on. Tell me more what you think.
Well, I mean, we all saw both movies, so I think we all know what I'm talking about. But uh,
I don't
Goon
know.
Goon makes some very interesting choices in terms of their score. They have some there's some really interestingly shot sequences. I thought that their approach to the fight scenes was handled much more. What's the word I'm looking for? There's a much more complicated and interesting approach to the fight scenes. They're far more gruesome and effective than what we see in Slapshot. And obviously a lot of that is probably lack of resources and lack of, certain equipment and
Film tech.
effects, film tech that they didn't have in the 70s. But I mean,
They had some really cool high frame rate hit shots in Goon
yeah.
that are very cinematic in the way that we like seeing them now. It was very like early superhero film style.
Yeah, but with
hits.
blood packs everywhere.
Yeah, or like him fucking cracking another dude's helmet with his head, which was
Yeah.
pretty hardcore, right?
I'd say the one place where Goon spectacularly stands out against Slapshot is in its actual just filming of the play of hockey.
Yeah.
Like, I understood games were happening and that there were passes being made and shots being taken and someone's in on a rush and he missed the shot. Okay, I understood that. Slapshot, I had no idea what was happening on the ice at any moment of time.
People just like skate around.
Yeah, and and the Hanson brothers especially, who are
Oh my god.
honestly probably the best part of the film, which explains why they're in the sequels. But like,
Right.
Yeah. And also in Slapshot, everything is lit the same. It was the
Yeah,
most frustrating thing to watch. Everything is lit the exact same way. And like lighting is a crucial element to establishing mood and tone of a scene. And it can do so much for helping elevate what's happening in the story.
dark change rooms though. Don't you like being in a dark change room?
I mean, not when the dark change room looks exactly like the dark apartment, that looks exactly like the dark van. You know what I
Dark
mean?
bus.
The dark bus. Like, I don't know. It felt. I'm curious to know what the budgets are for these movies because it felt like it was a lack of money thing.
You give me one budget for Slapshot, $6 million. Budget for Goon, I would assume adjusted for 2011 money, $12 million.
So like pretty even budgets.
Like I would say, yeah. I mean,
and like that comes through. Like Goon definitely also smacks of indie low budget feature.
Oh, for sure.
yeah. Oh, yeah. Of course.
Right, but that's why I commend what they're able to accomplish so much more because clearly they have a limited amount of resources and money, but they use what they have to make some really interesting stuff, and they make interesting choices cinematically, and I don't know. I think that they were trying to make a compelling film. And I don't really know what Slapshot was trying to do.
There were moments I in particular liked the the juxtaposition in the cut. They're lying in bed together talking, and then she like slips under and rolls over on top of him, and it cuts immediately to the like iguanas in the dinosaur film they're watching fighting each other on
How
screen.
funny.
Like,
Was that was in Slapshot or that was in
Slapshot, yeah.
Right, yeah.
And Slapshot is told a lot through TV screens. There are so
Yeah,
many
there
shots
are.
just focusing on mostly like materialistic programs, like what their offshoot version of Wheel of Fortune or no.
Yeah, there was a game
Yeah.
show thing. There was a soap opera that was playing at the bar
Yeah.
that they were all watching.
And that woman doing yoga, and they're all just staring at it. So,
Right.
I think they were trying to be clever with that in showing that these teams had to start doing this Goonie shit because people flocked to it and paid thousands of dollars to go and see these teams beat the shit out of each other, and weren't going to just watch hockey players play hockey.
Competing entertainment type stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's so weird, eh? Like, I really like. I want to believe there's something in Slapshot so bad. I'm gonna make that clear again and again. But it's like, with all these categories, production included, it's tricky because my usual shtick that I come back to is like, in terms of what's good, I rank what is good by what's effective, meaning
Yeah.
did it serve the purpose of the movie, right? Because anyone can buy, have the money to get a really nice camera and get a good DOP and film a nice shot. You know, like you can do those things, but did it serve the story better, right? So, but I don't know what the fucking goal of Slapshot was.
No, because
So
ultimately
it's really
not,
hard.
It's not like, as Danny was saying, the lighting is pretty basic and unimaginative, and like a lot of the shot setups weren't. The only shot I can remember being kind of intrigued by is when he pulls up and she's running across the street, and I think the camera kind of like travels around the car as he's driving away and comes back up the block, and I was like, oh, it was probably a crane, but like. There was some logistics to it that I was like, okay, that took a lot to execute. Cool.
Well, and there's a couple, like we talked about at the top of the movie, there are a couple of comedic bits that are purely physical. It's not writing. It's all in the way that it's shot, and it's and the physical action of the actors or the objects in the movie. Like that one scene where the wife first picks them up. And she's kind of like going off the rails and speeding up in the van to the point where it's just like, fucking flying over hills.
Yeah, that was so wild.
Yeah, but like that kind of shit, like it doesn't have to be fancy to be effective, right? But then the tone of the movie takes a fucking quick right turn, and then suddenly we're out of that world and not into anything else that is equally or more interesting.
No, it's like brown and gray, and it's like the mill's closing.
Yeah.
Awful lot of people going to be out of jobs soon.
Equally, did they film Goon in Halifax proper? I'm wondering.
No, it's filmed. I noticed in the credits, it was filmed in Manitoba.
Okay, that makes sense, because I was like, this looks boring as shit. No offense, Manitobans.
But it doesn't look like Halifax has more character than that movie.
Yeah, they didn't show any of the ocean at all.
No. So, yeah, exactly, right? So it kind of makes sense. Like there were like these strange downtown blocks that they were on going to the bars. So it was in Winnipeg, I guess.
Purely aesthetic choice. Which jersey is better to look at?
Ooh.
The Chiefs or the who even were the Halifax Highlanders, yeah.
I mean, I'm partial just to them being Highlanders. Like I would rather have a Highlanders chief or thing than a Chiefs thing, because I don't want a Chiefs jersey.
Yeah.
Wasn't the Chiefs just the word Chiefs as opposed to the Highlanders that had an actual logo?
I think it's framed well. I think the yellow and white is classic. You can't go wrong on a hockey jersey with yellow and white.
Well, those are not my colors.
I would say probably the Highlanders jersey is nicer.
Okay. I think orange on jerseys is really ugly.
As do I.
Yeah.
But I think I just
have that
want
problem.
one that says Chiefs.
That's true. That's true.
This is not really a production question, but I have to ask: are you allowed in the championship round of the season to just bring in a whole new team of of players?
In that league, maybe.
Then I think you could. Like,
really?
I think you could. They might not be able to play in the playoffs, and it's a different league, so it's a fictional league. They probably could have just made up the rules for it, you know.
All right, because it was the Federal Hockey League or something,
the Federation League.
The Federal League, yeah.
The Federal League.
God damn.
Yeah.
Federation League is in Star Trek.
Oh yeah, I'm waiting for that movie too.
The Romulans take on the Vulcans in a grudge match.
Oh, that would be awesome, actually.
It would.
One area that I think Goon really excelled in was the score. They didn't get locked into any one style of music. They seemed very intent on just using whatever style or whatever sound.
Except the one song, the opera song from Turandot, Nessun Dorma, which they kept bringing back at the emotional peaks, which I believe it's a song about like soldiers on the last night before a big battle, and it means no one sleeps. So I think it's I like their choice for that moment. Those
Totally,
moments.
yeah. And I mean, like, I don't mean that they never returned to the same score.
Right.
What I'm saying is there was indie folk music, there was battle opera. They just had a wide spectrum of music and sound, and
Yeah.
they seemed intent on using whatever was necessary to elevate that particular moment in the film, as opposed to trying to like lock into a specific audio tone and ride that through the film.
Yeah.
Which I appreciated. Unlike Slapshot, which the only thing I can remember from there, from an audio perspective, is just like 70s pop
where
music.
we started from.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
Which was always played way too loud in a scene,
Way
so
too loud.
so I actually couldn't hear what the actors were ever saying.
Yeah.
funny.
The production wise, I will say of Slapshot, I think I liked their bus scenes the most. I thought those were the most interesting shots, were them
Playing
figuring
cards
out-
and
playing cards and interacting with the fan bus and seeing
Right.
them sleeping and leaving. Like those were the most dynamic scenes in the movie to me.
yeah.
And I think it's worth mentioning in production. I think we got to talk about fights and stunts a little bit.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Because I think it's done, as you already mentioned, it's done really cleanly and effectively in Goon. Like, it's actually not that much fighting. There's a fighting in this movie, but it's not like Slapshot that has like a fuck ton of fighting
Yeah.
Yeah.
Every scene.
every scene, and like, yeah, it looks like some of it is, and I don't know this, but I have a feeling that there are people actually just punching each other in the face and in the stomach and stuff like that.
Like probably like
Like,
a
yeah, it's
stu-
very
they-
possible.
a messily done stunt like that. You're just like, get out there and hit each other.
Yeah, I think there are probably some guys out there who'd be like, yeah, let's get the shot, like let's do it. And
Well, the Hanson brothers there are actual hockey players. That they're not. Oh, two of them are brothers, and then a third one is
Yeah.
someone else that looks like them. Yeah.
I
you
mean,
can
you
tell
could
like
you
they
could tell.
skate, they
Yeah, as soon as they
Yeah.
step on the ice, you're like, oh, these guys are the best ones out there.
Yeah.
yeah, like
What-
100%.
What I will say about the fight scenes in Goon is because they are so effective and you feel the impact of every hit so strongly, it's almost ridiculous how many hits Sean William Scott's character is able to take.
Oh, he's done.
Like it is
Yeah.
beyond, like it far surpasses anything in the realistic like world of getting
When-
punched in the face.
When he gets like 1,000 wrist shots to the face when he's on the goal line, and
Yeah, I was
then
gonna say that was
they
too
step
far.
on his ankle and it collapses in on itself, and then he's at the bar later just walking around being like doop 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 doop.
Well, and
Yeah,
the
that
fact
was-
that he walks into the final game with one eye already swollen shut and like clearly probably multiple concussions, and then he goes into this fight with Liev Schreiber's character, where he takes upwards of like 25 unanswered punches directly to the temple.
Yeah.
Like I know the idea is that he's supposed to be
A fighter.
like unhumanly strong, but it still it doesn't make any sense, and I think that it makes less sense because of how effective the fight scenes are. because
Correct.
of how effectively it's
Because
shot.
it's so
right?
it's so brutal and everything like that.
Yeah.
I agree 100%. Like I think they could have made a smarter choice in that final fight. It felt a bit yeah, it wasn't satisfying in the way that it I think should
Yeah.
have been, I will say.
No. I mean, we don't get the resolution from the parents, which is shitty. Part of that.
Well, there's a sequel, so
Oh, yeah.
There's a sequel.
there is.
But
And
I
like
think
most of the cast is back.
But I think it just would have taken like less punches. Like have
Yeah.
a choreographed fight or choreograph the fight so that it feels a little more even instead of
Yeah.
just having
Yeah.
him get hit in the face for 3 minutes and then answer with one punch that wins the fight for him.
Yeah, after he breaks his ankle
Well, yeah,
Yeah.
it shatters completely, and then he gets back up on it.
and then it shatters it like kinks and then it shatters at the end or whatever it is.
Yeah.
It's pretty messed up. But I also agree, Sean, about that. It's a two-part thing. Negative, him taking the puck to the face, I thought was like already a lot. But I was like, okay, but then he should be like out. Like it's like it should have been It should have been like he like jumps slow-mo in front of the puck and then like cuts to black and then it wakes up to them like celebrating in the change room and he's like on a gurney.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, oh, you did it. You not like the whole shot of them, like as you say, like hitting the puck into his face was just like way too much.
Yeah.
And also like honestly kind of turned my stomach a bit. Like it was a lot.
Mm-hmm.
I loved the shot right after of both teams jumping over the boards really fast just to like fight each other after that moment. It was a great shot of just like the energy of that. Well, end of round. Ding dang dong. Let's get into what will be a weird ass round.
Why? Why do you say that?
Fucking weird round here. Round 3, acting. Is there any here? Yeah. Ding.
Ding-a-ling-a-ling. I would
So
like to. Oh no, you go ahead.
No, please do go.
No, you go.
Okay, well, I just want to, because you just brought up the parents, I want to talk about the shameful underutilization of Eugene Levy in this movie.
Oh yeah, right.
100%.
Jesus.
Yeah.
In a purely dramatic role?
Yeah, it didn't make any sense to me. It was just such shameless stunt casting, and literally anybody could have played that part.
It was just. It was probably just like back in Toronto visiting someone in between shooting something in L.A. and like, okay, yeah, sure, I'm here for 3 days. I'll shoot 4 scenes. Yeah.
Yeah. Very disappointing.
I was going to quote Pauline Kael of The New Yorker, who, when Slapshot was released, said this of Paul Newman, that it was the performance of his life to date. This is 1977. Paul Newman has made The Sting. He has made Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid. He has made Cool Hand Luke. For anyone to claim that this is his greatest performance of his life is insanity.
He's the coach.
Yeah, the player coach. Yeah.
Oh my God.
It's
How was this movie received when it came out? Slapshot.
It was like popular enough that it like tripled. Its budget was $6 million. It made $28 million.
Wow.
Holy shit.
And Goon was $12 million, and it only made $7 million.
Really? It was a flop?
I mean, that makes sense to me. I feel
And
like it has
since-
become a cult classic since then,
Yeah.
but it wasn't commercially successful.
Slapshot definitely is more of a cult film now as well.
That's weird. Why?
Because
I'm gonna get back
how
to
many
my
hockey
theories.
films are there?
I mean,
The ones
there's
we
Mighty
watched.
Ducks, Mighty Ducks 2.
How many adult hockey films are there?
Mighty Ducks 3 may be an adult one.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah,
I
where
guess the Mighty Fox.
Slapshot, you got a bunch of boobs. You got a whole scene where the lady has to sit there with her boobs out.
She does.
She gets to tell a sad-ish story, or like not even. No, she gets to tell a
No,
story
it's-
about how she explored being gay.
Yeah. How
I
she-
think there's a super gay commentary, like a queer commentary in this movie.
It's written by a woman.
I'm gonna get into it.
Oh,
again later.
that makes that okay. Then that's more in line than with what Jack has been saying. A woman writing a movie about the toxic masculinity of hockey culture.
Yeah, she wrote it about her
Yeah.
brother. Her brother played. I guess we're enacting. Her brother played Ogie Oglethorpe, the
Okay.
bruiser
Yeah,
that is in prison. Yeah.
The most violent of them all.
Yeah, and I think Braden is based on his journey through the minor leagues in the United States.
Huh.
Yeah.
Interesting. I want to know more about this. This was a fun fact, Sean. Where was this before?
I was too excited about the Soviets getting their asses handed to them.
So anyway, I Paul Newman, I mean, that's a crazy review for someone to write.
Right.
He is definitely acting.
Yeah,
He-
he's doing a performance that is good.
He's built a character. It's consistent. It's pretty insufferable a lot of the time. Like not his
Yes.
performance, but the character.
Yeah.
Like I don't get a lot of it. Not that I need to get it every single moment of the movie, but like like we talked about, like what was he doing with Brady's wife? Like what was going on?
Yeah.
It's just a bit weird.
When he tells these like weird, seemingly innocuous lies, kind of like sprinkled through the movie,
Yeah, he's trying to get the team motivated, right?
Yeah, okay, but like the one where the cops show up for the Hanson brothers, and he says to the cops, "They're out of control. Put them in jail." But then he's
Yeah.
arguing to everyone else that like they're being arrested unreasonably, and like I didn't understand what the point of that was. It just seems like that he's just like a shitty person.
I think he wanted them to arrest them so that the team would have something to galvanize around.
See, I
But then
wish
he
those decisions would be clearer. Like, I wish there was that you saw like the fruit of that labor, so that you could connect that. Like, I, as the audience member, can connect those dots.
Sure, yeah.
Yeah, you do get to understand it a bit when he finally meets the owner, and he's like, she's like, "Oh, it's been fun to watch you," and he's like, "Yeah, I've been trying to send you a message without ever meeting or talking with you that there's value in this team, right?
Right.
That he's just doing everything at every turn to try and just get ticket sales up. That's all he's doing. That's all he cares about.
He's trying to secure his future.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Who's good in those films?
There's much more acting in Goon. You have some other Canadian greats, let's call them, like Kim Coates up there, known on this podcast from Battlefield Earth.
I think Kim Coates was bad in this film.
You thought he was bad? I thought he was. I mean, I'm not saying he was great, but he was fine.
Horribly miscast. I think he didn't understand the assignment.
Go on.
Go on.
I just didn't believe him for a second as that kind of coach. I guess what I have grudges. I don't think he lived hockey culture at any point in his life, or like was really a part of hockey culture, perhaps. And all he was doing is kind of doing what his interpretation of a caricature of a hockey coach might be, but it didn't feel real to me at all.
Interesting. I mean, I'm not very familiar with hockey culture, so I didn't have that problem.
Yeah, I mean, he was just hitting his Canadian accent really hard, and he was doing a lot of like hand claps at pivotal moments in speeches that like he was acting really well, but it was kind of like a film in front of his eyes for me. For me personally.
So you're like a hockey type, and you're like looking at him, going like outsider, outsider.
A little bit, maybe.
Okay, I mean that's kind of fair.
Yeah.
I think Sean William Scott is kind of fucking weird.
I loved him.
I love is a big word.
I thought he was putting in.
Him?
He was quietly putting in for the character that they wrote for him. He was
That's
quietly
it.
putting in a really great performance as this character.
Yeah, I agree. I think that some of the writing choices for the character were odd, and
But he
as
made
the
them
actor,
work.
as the actor, all you can do is play those moments. But I think, I mean, it's for sure the best performance I've ever seen from Sean William Scott.
Yes.
Oh,
Like,
100%. It was
far
pretty.
above.
It's pretty
And-
weird to see him doing anything remotely grounded.
Yeah.
But it was so grounded. Like I invested fully in his character at every step of his journey. I mean,
Yeah.
it's hard to buy into somebody who is so aggressively simple, and again the sheer physical endurance of his character is insane. But his actual journey and like the character's arc, every beat, I think he played beautifully.
Dang. I mean, I thought he did a fine job, but it's cool. I mean, y'all loved him.
Yep.
You also had Scott Pilgrim
Allison
girl in
Pill.
there. Allison Pill.
Pill, yeah. Who did the thing Allison Pill does?
Who was she in Scott Pilgrim?
It's fine. The
drummer.
sister? Oh yeah, the drummer. Yeah.
With the red hair, with the funny hair. Redhead.
Oh yeah. I was wondering where I'd seen her before.
She's
thought
in Picard now.
Is she?
Oh,
Yeah.
I can't be bothered to watch that show.
Don't.
Yeah, I thought the character was funny. She had some funny moments, but like generally she was fine. I think that
Yeah.
I honestly think that for the character they wrote for her, she was like, I give her like a B. You know what I mean?
I think I
'Cause,
liked her. I
like,
think
there were-
more than Sean William Scott. in my
Really?
opinion.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, I thought she like brought out better performances than him. Like I think she was a good
Probably,
scene
yeah.
partner, and I think she
Yeah.
made him look good, which
Yeah,
is nice of her to do. And I
I
don't
agree
think
with
he
that.
was able to make her look as good.
No, because he's mostly written lines like, "Doug like Eva."
Yeah, and being like and telling a story about falling in waste and the bag of pee broke on him, and she's doing like a pretty. She's telling us an interesting story with her reactions and her laugh and
Yeah.
everything.
Yeah,
But
she
like
was
his
good.
performance in that moment was like so. Like it
But
wasn't great.
here's the thing though, is that I think that is a writing error more so than it is a lack of performance, because that doesn't say, like, it's hard to believe that somebody so simple would be able to attract this woman who is like he's verging
It's
on,
incredibly
like,
hard to
mentally
believe.
ill. Not
Yeah.
mentally ill, but like mentally stunted, right?
Yes.
So
And it's only him playing the role that pulls it into the believable zone.
totally.
That is true.
But like,
Yeah.
but you can't. But it's even still, it's hard to believe that somebody who has like a regular head on her shoulders would see this guy and think, oh, I'm going to leave my boyfriend
Yeah.
for him. You know what I
Dan,
mean?
have you ever heard of self-esteem issues?
I mean, fair.
Because she voices hers in the movie, so I think you got to put those two together.
I mean, yes, I understand that point, but even still,
No, I know what you're saying, 100%.
Bring it on.
It's a tough thing to follow.
What-
but I'm just this is in response to the thing about the story about the pee exploding all over him and her thinking it's hilarious and being really charmed by it.
It is funny.
It is funny, but like not as funny as she finds it, right? Like at that point, she's just driving him home after having rejected him, and
Yeah.
this is the story that kind of wins her over. That doesn't
Because
make any
he's-
sense.
He's clearly the first guy who's been vulnerable with her in that sense, right? Otherwise it's all these like hyper aggressive douchebags and hockey boys.
And he's like willing to look like a fool and make
Yeah.
her laugh.
I understand it, but I do think it like
It's not great writing.
It's first draft writing.
Right.
Yeah.
Slash like maybe improvised some
Maybe
of it.
improv. Yeah. So I feel like Jay was improvising most of his
Oh my
lines.
god, like 100%. 100%.
So Jay, I thought needs to not do a accent, please.
I didn't understand the
Just-
accent.
He was trying to do a like Boston area, Connecticut kind of thing.
But we're in Canada. Did they say
well,
he's from
it
Boston?
started in Massachusetts.
Oh, I guess you're right.
Yeah, they're
Yeah.
in Massachusetts. What do we think of the Hanson brothers?
They grew on me. They grew
I
on
like
me.
their
Yeah.
physical performance more than when they talked. I thought
Yeah.
they were like physically good performers. That's a funny thing to say. When they were first introduced, it was a bit too much for me, but I think that's the point.
Yes.
And then I found it kind of funny when the coach was like trying to just give like a regular speech and they would like start agreeing like really vociferously.
I like I said before,
our team, yeah, we can get them. Yeah, it's our team.
I think they were the best part of the film. I think
You're not wrong.
they dragged these three hockey boys into the film and just put the camera on them and told them like be childish idiots.
Yeah.
I also really liked the performance of Paul Newman's wife.
Yes.
Francine,
I think
she
she
was
was the best
phenomenal.
actor in the film. I think
Yes.
that I would agree the
She's
Hanson brothers may be the
definitely-
best part of the movie, but performance-wise, she was by far the strongest.
Yeah, you looking up her name, Sean?
Yes, I am because we should know it. It is
should know.
Jennifer Warren.
Jennifer Warren. Yeah, I thought she was the best part. Like I would have preferred more movie with her in it and make maybe more about her.
Yeah.
Well, she felt like she was coming out of a different movie. Like she stands out so strongly because it's against whatever everybody else is doing. Like she's doing a different thing entirely. I felt like.
And I
Yeah.
think that's intentional.
Probably
little
because she's
bit.
from like a different world, maybe. Like she's not
I mean,
from the hockey world.
A lot of these movies at the time, there's like commonly regarded the greatest Formula One racing movie of all time that I'm hesitant to bring on this podcast because it's 3 hours long and you'd all kill me for watching it. But they jam this like romance plot into it in order to get wives, like the wives who come along with the husbands who are watching the racing movie, to like at least have something. And it kind of feels like that's what this line was put in, but it was actually executed in a more interesting way than it is in the movie I'm describing.
Well, I didn't
Talladega
mind
Nights,
it.
right?
It's Talladega Nights for sure. It's driven. I actually didn't mind. I didn't mind any aspects of this story that gave us a deeper insight into who the characters were outside of the hockey rink, which is why I think that the bus scenes were some of the most interesting ones, because that's where you see actual character development, or you get a better glimpse as to who these characters actually are, as opposed to just watching them play hockey, right?
Yes. I was really tired of the drunken guy in both movies by the end. Both movies have a drunk guy. You're like, no, thank you.
Yeah.
Who is the drunk guy throughout this one? Throughout Slapshot?
Like the guy who looked like a young Hugo Weaving.
Yeah.
The guy who wore sunglasses a lot and was just like
The guy
Mr. Anderson.
Yeah.
kind of
The one who
vibes.
just like made the most grotesque comments about women every time.
Yeah.
Disgusting pervert.
Right. Yeah.
Which is why, and the fact that you're telling me this was written by women, I have more thoughts.
It's wild, right?
There's something about this movie that I think is that I'm gonna get in. Okay, anyway, end of round.
That does make a lot more sense, though. That makes a lot more sense knowing it's written by a woman, for sure. It feels a lot more like a
really think it
commentary
does.
with that information. Yeah.
I need to do like more research about this now. I'm actually rather intrigued.
There's probably like whole thesis papers written like in universities and
About Slapshot.
yeah.
Oh, just wait. I got more. But let's take a break there. Let's do a little breaky wakey for a little addy waddy.
Little breaky for us.
And we'll see you in just potentially literally 1 second or potentially like 30.
Yeah.
And just like that, the seconds have passed and we are returned to the podcast.
Eat shit.
That was no prep. I just let it flow.
I definitely saw you queuing that up. Right.
No, I
Fuck off.
wasn't.
That wasn't
No,
just
I
off
just-
the cuff. Really?
It was off. It's completely off the cuff. I
Okay,
promise.
that wasn't all right. That wasn't bad.
I just felt it coming and I was like, it's going to work.
Inspiration. I must seize it.
I was like, that's like a podcast. That's what, okay. So let's talk our fourth round. So jumping in, round 4, rewatchability.
So
this
I've
is also
seen Goon,
a pretty weird one.
I've seen
you've
Goon
seen Goon?
twice already.
Okay.
And I would absolutely watch it again. I don't think it's like a thing that I have to show my friends. Like it's not like, oh my god, you have to see this movie.
No.
But I mean, I like it because it's short and like but it's short and it's rich. You know what I mean? Like it's not it's not a dragged out like this, like that story over 2 or 2.5 hours wouldn't be as satisfying. Like I like that it's short because it feels densely packed, which is
Could have used more of an ending. I could have used more of an ending.
I
on Goon.
think
I could have
think there's
too.
a fair bit of padding in there as well. Like there's as we talked about, there's a lot of pretty bad / lazy writing. Love to Jay, but like there's just like I noticed right away when they're like the joke of like oh, he's the Asian guy, he's gonna be a doctor, he's good at he treats hockey like math, I guess. I was like, what the fuck? Like that's just lazy. Like it's just
and then they don't like have him do anything except I think he passes the puck at one he banks the puck off his ass.
He treats his own concussion.
He treats his own and whenever someone gets hurt, he goes out and he's like with the paramedics.
Oh, okay. I missed that.
But if he was just a doc, like I don't know, like there's just some stuff in it that's like, it seems a bit like filler. It seems like they wrote an hour of a movie and then needed to fill it with 30 minutes, and they were like, some of that will be hockey and some of it will be, you know what I mean? Like it's.
Oh, I don't know. I mean, I think that like yes, there's some bad lines and some bad writing, but it doesn't really. I no like filler scenes come to mind. It does feel like every scene progresses the movie forward.
Yeah,
Is that redundant?
won't.
Progresses the movie forward. Is that redundant? Would it just be
You're
progresses
allowed
the
to.
movie or moves it forward?
You can
fine.
be a bit
That's fine,
redundant.
man.
It's fine. Yeah.
Yeah.
wondering.
We're not grammar Nazis around here.
Yeah, we understood what you meant. That's what matters.
Yeah.
Ooh, did anyone notice the fact that there were actual Nazis in attendance of the Slapshot games?
Nazis were a
Yeah.
punchline in the 70s. It was funny to make fun of Nazis because they didn't exist as loudly.
Yeah.
But
they thought
was
they were gone.
But was the joke there that the crowds had become so aggressive that it was literally drawing in Nazis?
Yeah.
It was the
Okay.
driver.
What?
The person dressed because there was one person, he had like a Nazi helmet on or whatever, and
And
the
like-
swastika on his.
Yeah.
That was the driver. You
Of
see
the
them later
bus?
of the bus.
Oh, so
Oh.
he brings his Nazi buddies to.
I think
see
it
the
was
game.
just mainly
Well,
the
at
one.
the end there was a Nazi cheering section.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
They
Oh,
just
I didn't
look like
see that.
Well,
like
it's a skinhead
bikers
cheering
though.
section.
Yeah,
it's a,
they
it's
didn't.
it's a skinhead biker. Yeah.
But the thing is, I think because I noticed that too, and I was like, oh, is this supposed to be a progression of him hitting? Because I think it was the driver who was hitting the bus with a bat to make them look scarier.
Yeah.
So I was like, oh, are you dressed as a Nazi now because that's another scary thing that the wild driver character is doing?
I thought it was what Daniel was saying, that like the game is so violent that the Nazis like coming to watch now.
What the fuck is happening in this movie, man?
Okay,
And
so to that question, I would say maybe that is where the rewatchability of this movie lies.
100%.
Absolutely. Yeah.
That there is something about Slapshot that I want to watch again.
Yeah.
I want to like read about the writer.
Yeah.
And I want to like try and watch it through a certain lens because as I mentioned earlier, I think there's something to do with obviously about maleness and about how women exist in the world, and like that story that the topless lady tells about the men being gone and finding love with another woman.
which I thought was actually a pretty in touch examination of that experience, and there was no judgment in that conversation. I was like, wow, this film is actually treating a woman's homosexual lifestyle very appropriately. And then the next 4 scenes is just every man in the film being like, dyke, faggot, faggot, dyke.
Yeah, I think it like cuts to them like being in the fashion show and being like, I can't wear this because I look queer.
Yeah.
And so it's like, it's a whole lot of that. And so it's leaned in pretty heavily, I think, that Brody is gay.
Is it?
Who's
Brady?
Brody?
Sorry,
Brady?
Braden?
No, he's sleeping with a lot of women.
Yeah,
Yeah,
he's gonna ding, but I'm gonna finish this conversation a bit more. But like,
Yeah.
he, well, they imply that there are they're having problems sexually, and so
Right.
people start accusing him of being gay, is
Right.
part of it.
Yeah.
Which I think was actually a thing, in the past.
Oh, sure, of
where,
course.
if you couldn't perform with your wife, there was issues there.
Wait a minute, have I been gay for 59 years?
Yeah. And so the fact that, and like, I think even the fact that he is less violent and that he's treated as like a sissy as a result.
Right.
And then he's the one who kind of wins the day
By stripping?
with that. I thought it was going to be like, I thought it was acknowledging him being gay. Like, I thought it was him embracing a different kind of energy. And so when he was like, had his arm around his wife and was kissing in
no.
the parade at the end, I was like, bummer.
He was
Like,
back with her.
I thought that they should have stayed apart and
It's
that this was going to be anyway, it seemed,
it's
seemed really
interesting
there.
that both films deal directly with the homophobia inherent in hockey, and like,
Yeah.
I don't think that culture has changed very much. I'm sure it's a little more like streamlined and
They don't
like,
say as much.
They don't say it in practice probably as much, they're not where the reporters are all listening, but I can't name a hockey player that has come out, but I know there have been like 3 or 4 football players. I know there's a few basketball players that are openly gay and stuff. I can't think of an openly gay NHL player, and I think because that homophobia is deeply ingrained in the game.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Small town, like northern cities training as like kids.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's gonna be rough.
It is interesting to me though that football would be further ahead in that discussion than hockey would.
Right?
Yeah, like football is arguably, not even arguably, just objectively a more violent game with, you know, and
But can you throw a pass 60 yards? They don't care at that point.
right, but then wouldn't the same be said for can you fucking take a slap shot
Yeah.
from the blue line? You know
Yeah,
what I
guess so.
mean?
I think it has to do a little bit with where the activities occur. Football has a bunch of roots inside like the major metropolitan areas and like universities, and so I think the communities that surround them are a bit more diverse than hockey, which is still more homogenous. And as I said, like if you are a hockey player, you are spending like at least a couple years training in like Syracuse and Thunder Bay
Yeah.
and like
Okay.
and like, you know, medium small towns in like Canada and northern United States. Like it's not a
but
place where it's like everyone's welcome here. Like that's not those communities.
but to that same point, if we're talking about diversity in terms of, you know, a variety of cultures, in my experience, I mean, objectively, it seems like black and white people make up the majority of football players in the
Yeah.
NFL. I
Yep.
would say it skews more black than white. And in my experience, the African American community has not been very kind in the past historically to the queer community.
Yeah, but it's not
So-
about those communities in particular. It's just about like what I'm trying to say is like honestly like the larger community surrounding them. So that's for sure a barrier in that community.
Like the places you go to be a part of the best hockey
You-
teams in the world are probably more conservative than the places you go to.
Okay, that
but
makes
you'll be
sense.
in like you're
Football
gonna go train in like Florida, in like a major. You're gonna go train in like Miami, Tampa, Florida
Yeah.
to do your thing, as opposed to you're
baseball,
gonna go
right?
to
Yeah.
you're gonna go to North Bay.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Okay. I see your
Going
point.
to
You know what I mean?
Kappa's casing
Yeah.
for
Yeah, so I think that might be part of it, and also just like the university connection to it. I imagine is a bit different, right? That I don't know how much it exists with hockey. There aren't like,
tons of university programs.
but it's not like as enormous.
There's some like Michigan State, I think. There's a lot of universities that do treat it kind of like football, but they're up in like the Northeast or
Yeah.
like Minnesota or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Notoriously homophobic Minnesota.
I mean,
Calling it here.
Yeah.
That's not true. So anyway, let's do some ratings. And let's
Start with rewatch.
I mean, sure. Let's go backwards today. Let's mix it up every time. Rewatch, I'm going to start right away. For me, it's Slapshot because of the reasons we've said. Goon feels like it is easily to digest, but in that regard, it feels very one and done for me.
Yeah, I'm in the same boat.
Oh, interesting. I am very much on the Goon train. I think that there is some stuff to unpack and kind of analyze with Slapshot, but it didn't grip me enough the first time around for me to be that interested in going back to dissect it further. So I'm gonna
That's
go
fair.
Goon, full steam ahead.
All right.
Yep.
On the Goon train is what that.
The Goon train.
Yeah.
Acting, we fully didn't even talk about fucking Liev Schreiber in there. Like, how is
Yeah.
Liev Schreiber in that movie?
Yeah, and he did exactly what was on the paper.
Yeah, he must have been.
Yeah.
He must have had that facial hair and been in the area doing X-Men Wolverine Origins.
Yeah. Yeah, that would be 2011, like shot in 2010. That's probably around when he was doing that.
Yeah, so he had
So he
the
was in
facial
Montreal.
hair.
He was
Yeah,
in
and he,
Montreal,
like-
he just stopped by.
He like couldn't do other gigs because he was growing his hair out, his facial hair
That's
out
so
for
funny.
X-Men, and they're like, "We actually have a role where you can have that hair, and we need you for like 6 weeks of filming." And he was like, "All right."
6
Yeah, why
weeks of filming. They probably had him for like 3 days. He's barely in the movie.
Yeah.
He does a number of things. He has a
Very, very
He like
short
walks
things
off a
until the
bus,
restaurant
sits
scene.
in a diner, and
he has to do a
does
whole
some
hockey
skating.
game scene. I don't know how long
Yeah.
things take in film
He
It
was
always
probably
takes
there
It
like
probably
a
wasn't
week.
6 weeks. Yeah,
Yeah.
I
But
would
maybe
say
it wasn't 3 days either though. So you're
No.
also going too far the other way.
no. I'm exaggerating, but it
The
definitely wasn't.
the whole film was shot in 6 weeks.
Yeah, that's probably not wrong.
It's
Yeah.
probably not way
It's
off.
not wrong at all.
So
Liev Schreiber
acting.
was great. He should have lost that. He should have won the fight at the end, but that's not his fault. I'm gonna go Goon. I'm gonna go Goon again. Goon had
This
some
is
very
tough.
strong performances.
I can't think of a single performance that I disliked out of both films. I thought everyone largely was like, they're doing the thing they need to do effectively to superbly across both films. So, John, you're back to John Rennie on your thing. Jack, go ahead.
Oh. Why you you know my fucking name?
I know,
Don't stop
but
reading it.
you were at the top, and I looked up, and I was like, John?
I'll say I agree with you, Sean. I honestly don't like, as weird as it was, like tonally, Slapshot. No one was. It felt like people were serving the movie. I just
Yeah.
don't know what. I don't know. They all seem to be on the same page. I just don't know what page it was or what book they were in.
Yeah.
But I agree with you. I think my point would also favor Goon right now, just because there seemed to be a bit more like joy in it. That I
Yeah.
was like, I liked your performance, and beyond just like, I acknowledge that you executed a performance.
That's true. All right, Goon for me as well.
Even Jay, who was doing a lot, I was like, honestly, fucking thanks, man. Like,
Jay was in
whatever.
our other sports week. Jay was in $1 Million Baby doing a lot.
Oh my god, yeah. What is with?
Wait, Jay Baruchel's in $1 Million Baby?
Yeah,
Yeah,
he's the
he's,
like,
like,
southern
scrappy.
touched boy.
Oh,
Like, let me get in the ring
right.
with them.
Right. Oh, he's had quite the
Who's just-
career, that guy.
He's just swinging at the fences in that role.
Well, I think
Oh,
it's so funny
man.
that like it's a character that he so clearly wrote for himself. You know what I
and
mean?
it's
Like,
still like guy.
yeah. Anyways,
I think
all right.
he doesn't. I think I like
It's fine.
his little bit when he has his TV show and he's arguing with the PM or whatever is on stage trying to
Yeah.
wrangle him in.
Yeah.
He's like, "You're our last caller," so like to make it good. So that was that a point for Goon?
Yeah,
It
girl.
was
So it's 1-1 right now.
1-1.
My dog is losing her mind for some reason.
She
Cute.
misses you.
No, someone's outside jingling keys.
Production. I mean,
It's Goon.
Yeah, it's got to be Goon. It's got to be Goon, right?
it's gotta be Goon.
It's gotta be Goon.
And just like that copyright strike, boom, you can't even pretend to sing it.
Yeah.
Story.
Well, we're doing story. All right.
That would be
Goon.
the last one. Yeah, I think it has to also be Goon. There's
It's
even
Goon for you?
even if you don't like the story, there is
Yeah.
still a clearer story in Goon.
There's an arc.
Yeah, we've discussed
I
ad nauseum
followed.
in this episode
yeah.
that how much we don't understand what the story is supposed to be in Slapshot.
Yeah. But I've also expressed that I also found like a deep meta within Slapshot.
Potentially, it requires further reading.
I don't know. It didn't feel potential to me. It seemed like by the end I was like, holy shit, I think that's what this whole movie's about.
We also didn't talk about the commentary revolving the like how the hockey team's fate is tied in with the coal plant's fate or coal mining facility's fate, which is linked in with the like existence of the entire community essentially.
Well, except
So
it
there's
wasn't.
something there too.
It
I
wasn't
just-
though, because they try to say that it is, but then nobody is held back from going to see the games once they're more exciting. The whole idea is that
Right.
the plant shuts down, therefore no one has any money, therefore the team's going to fold because people can't afford tickets.
Right.
But everyone can afford tickets.
I mean it's more so a comment like the team is an allegory for the fate of the American worker through the 70s and the birth of neoliberalism, you know? I'm doing that deep cut.
Oh,
Yeah.
I see.
And so I'm just saying that these things exist in Slapshot.
It's true.
Like it has depth. I'm not like Goon is pretty clean. Do you know what I mean? And like I think that's why it did all right as a Canadian made movie. You know, we don't get many chances. And it's like pretty like, I don't want to say safe, but like it's just like it's formulaic in many ways. And it's that tricky thing where it's like, well, we like that because that's why there's a formula, is because it can be satisfying for us as the viewer. But also when it's so brazenly formulaic, it's also just like, okay, like I felt myself getting ahead of the movie, whereas Slapshot, I had no idea what was going to happen in sort of an interesting way. Like I became compelled as the movie went on in a weird way. And I think there's more depth to it. I think there's tectonic plates moving underneath Slapshot, and I can't believe I'm fucking saying that.
Your tune about Slapshot has changed so dramatically from the beginning of this to the end of this episode. You started off being like, why does this movie exist?
No, I said,
to
what's
like,
going
this is
on?
the most profound piece of cinema
I'm not
I've
saying
ever
that.
experienced.
This is story, and this is story we're talking about.
Story, and
Okay.
I'm talking about script. I think there's a better script there, as crazy as it fucking is. I
Come
don't think the
on.
script. I think the script is pretty weak in Goon.
Ooh, Daniel, you better convince me because I'm starting to switch.
I just think
I mean,
in
you
terms
saw
of
the movies. Do you need convincing? It's Slapshot.
if
Go
you
ahead,
really isolate them down to like the scripts and the depth and what exists within them, one is like is fucking Norm Foster,
It's true.
you know, Canadian
Yeah.
playwright reference there, and the other one is like is fucking weird and is frustrating to watch. But if you sit with it, there is like
I'm
There's
switching
stuff
my
that-
vote.
Are you really?
I'm switching my
Yeah.
vote.
All right. Well,
Yes.
I'm not gonna argue. I think that's insane. I think you're smarter than that, Sean. But do what you must.
Which is why I'm going to Slapshot, because I like, for the same reason I want to do rewatch. I think there's a lot there that I just missed because I'm dumb.
And because I think I also tuned out for a part of it because I was like, what the fuck? Like my beginning watch of it was like, this is pretty fucking weird. And I was like, okay, I'm gonna have to sit through this. And then I
But
kind
okay,
of
but this
got
is
pulled
my
back
point.
in.
This is my point. Whether or not there is more to be gleaned from the story, the very fact that you tuned out initially means the story is not interesting enough to keep you engaged. Ergo, it is a weaker story.
no, it wasn't not necessarily, right?
No,
That's
yes,
like saying-
necessarily. Yes, necessarily.
No, that's like saying
the purpose of a
Checkmate.
story is to the purpose of a story is to engage you, is to keep you interested, to take you on a journey. If
I'm
you're
slipping back.
if your brain tunes out,
No,
the
but the
story
thing is,
isn't doing its job.
but like you can make all sorts of content just based around engagement, but engagement does not mean quality, right? So Goon has a pretty good engagement
but a
factor.
disengagement
but
from the story does indicate a lack of quality.
I'm not saying I disengaged the whole movie. I'm just saying I was originally thrown off by a
The term
very
the
strange.
phrase you used was tuned
And-
out. Actually,
And disengagement can be a factor of other issues, and as we've highlighted, its production is far weaker
Yeah.
than Goon.
I tuned out for parts of fucking Goon as well.
But I will say I will call bullshit
Like-
on that because I have seen some very, very low budget, low production value films with strong stories, and I'm not taking it out of the film because content is king and the story is strong enough that I stay in it. So yes, production value helps to elevate a story, but the story has to be there. You know what I mean? So if there's a film that has
And
poor
I think it
production
is
value,
there. I think it is there somewhere.
okay, but that
Goon
the
is-
fact that you don't know,
Yeah.
don't know, is enough to say
But-
that if you have to go back and dissect it to understand to get out of the story
Yeah.
what you want to get out of it, then on its surface it's not as good of a story.
I don't have to go back. To me,
On your rewatch.
and like on the rewatch, I think I would see more. But honestly, on my initial watch,
Ooh.
I was taken aback at the end of Slapshot at what was happening because I was like suddenly the whole movie was turning. for me.
I
think
do
you're-
honestly.
So, sorry,
I-
I have to say this. Sorry, I'm Sean. I think Jack that you have talked yourself into arriving at this position that you currently have with the film because when we started, you had a very different a very different tone to what you were saying. I think that you have talked yourself You've convinced yourself
think,
of this thesis.
Dan, I
as
think
we've
you
gone.
misheard, man. I think you misheard my intention with what I was saying. Because I said, what is going on?
It is being
in this movie?
recorded, so we can settle.
We can
this.
go back. We can go back.
But
and
I was
check the
saying,
records.
like, what the? Because to me, I just wanted to know. I was saying, what the fuck? What's going on? Because I wanted you to engage into me what was a rather rich amount of analysis to be done on Slapshot. Part of that being that it is pretty fucking weird and crazy.
Well, I think we have a tie going into the final wild card question.
You're sticking with Slapshot? Okay. All right.
Sticking with Slapshot, if only for the drama.
It's a better story, Dan.
So
I agree.
So my question this week, given the tensions that we are living through in a modern era, and given the conflict that is raging, which of these two movies would more likely start a thermonuclear war?
I thought you were going to say which movie would more likely slap Chris Rock.
How did we not talk
That's a
about
great
that
question.
at all in a week that is just about violence?
We'll talk about it after.
I gave a subtle hint, and also because whatever.
Which
so
one
which
is
of these
more
movies
likely to start a thermonuclear war?
Yeah, which movie presses the button first?
Which one is more likely to bring like the harbinger of chaos?
Yeah.
To be the harbinger of chaos. And
I mean,
and, like,
that seems to me that
Goon
seems
might be too
obvious.
nice.
Yeah, Goon is about a big like the heart
Big
of
softy
the
who
story
knows-
is Big Softy.
But
You know what I mean?
he does the violent thing when he needs to, to help his loved ones.
Right. But I think the decision to start a thermonuclear war is not one born of necessity as much as it is born of just an aggressive mindset, which is much more prevalent in Slapshot. Right? Like he's not Goon isn't aggressive. He is a teddy bear who uses his only real strength to give himself some kind of identity.
Okay.
Yeah,
Slapshot is about the innate human bloodlust, right?
I think both movies have that. I think that's a really common theme in both movies. Is how much
sure,
celebrating violence.
but one movie leans into it much more heavily.
I think so. Yeah, I think that would
Actually,
be
maybe I don't know.
Slapshot.
Maybe I wouldn't say that because there's a lot more fighting in Slapshot, but the fight scenes are far more grotesque.
Brutal. Yeah.
Yeah.
They both do it in different ways. Like arguably Goon is more violent.
Yeah,
yeah.
it
Do you know
has
what I
less
mean?
violence, but it
100%.
is more violent. Yeah, okay. Oh, I don't know, but
there are more stretchers in Goon than there are in Slapshot.
And here's the thing, and based around what I just said, I actually think Goon comes off less clean in the whole using this as a storytelling device. Goon still seems to end with fighting being awesome.
Yeah.
Whereas Slapshot, I really think the point of that movie is to show that it's a fucking circus clown show. And so I don't, if that was what I believe to be the heart of the movie, I don't think they pressed the button. So like I think, and also Goon is more dumb. And I think a dumb entity is more likely to make that decision.
Yeah, accidents are acceptable excuses for pressing the button, I guess.
Does
like,
Goon
oopsie.
end with fighting is kind of awesome? I guess it does, eh?
It sure
It does. It
It
absolutely
really
Glorifies
does.
his victory. Leaf
Yeah.
Schreiber is happy with the outcome.
Happy. The fans are thrilled.
They
make it to the
shifts the
playoffs.
tide of the game.
Yep. He says he doesn't want to retire as a pussy, so he goes and gets the shit kicked out of him by the young him.
Whereas like
Passing the torch of violence down. Literally passing the torch of violence.
Yeah.
Not literally,
Yeah,
but
fuck. That's a good point.
but whereas we see in Slapshot that they've been getting better, like they've made it to the championship because they become goons, and then you see like the bit of dread on their face as they watch Syracuse roll out an absolute roster
murder
of
team
of
Yeah.
murderers, and they all get beat the shit out for it. Like they have to take it for a thing. Like, yeah, I think Slapshot is at the end of it anti-violence.
I think Goon presses the button.
I think Goon presses the fucking button.
Does
I think
Goon press the
Eugene Levy in
button?
particular presses the button. His eyebrows press the button.
Should have
He
used
he
me
wa-
more.
his eyebrows walk by and graze the button because they're in the same room. That's an easy Eugene Levy jab. What do you think, Dan?
Fuck,
Yeah.
I think you might be right. As much as it pains me, I don't want Goon. I want Goon to win this fight. But I don't
But
want.
also it wins them the podcast. So
What's that?
doesn't it win them the podcast?
Yeah, well, this is what I'm saying. I want Goon to win the title, but I don't want it
Not-
to be on the basis of it fucking starting a nuclear war.
Of being like the more dumb movie that
The
hits
more dumb and violent movie. But I mean, I think you're right. Fuck, you're right. Yeah, Goon presses the fucking goddamn button. God damn it.
Yeah.
The fucking stupid thing. Goon, we're all like, yes, Goon presses the button.
Goon presses it.
Well, that settles it then. In a really tumultuous
Goon has
scoring
taken
section.
both keys and slid them into the and turned them to the right.
Also, the main character is just not bright, and that doesn't do it any favors in this
Yeah.
category either.
Yeah.
So with a score of 3-2,
Yep.
after much to do, the Citizen Kane of the week is
I've been playing hockey my whole life. I never fucking signed no one's dick, man.
Goon. Again, a hard-fought fight.
It got heated
These
there
were
for a
pretty-
second, eh?
Pretty heated. Yeah, it was good.
I loved it.
We need more of that. You know,
Welcome
That's-
back, Dan.
Thank you. Thank
He
you.
cares suddenly.
I care now.
I didn't know that Goon was your favorite movie.
I just think that it is objectively a far better movie than Slapshot, and I
Far better
I,
stretching
I,
it.
I loathe few things more than injustice, Jack.
That's why you disappear every night.
What? Oh, I thought you meant
What?
me. Like, 'cause
No,
you
Daniel.
Meant, you meant Dan.
Yeah.
He's mad
Unless
at me.
you're
so
his weird Robin.
Because I'm
I
Batman.
disappear. He
Yeah.
disappears me every night.
He just, yeah.
All right,
Oh my
so
God,
let's
can you
talk
imagine
about.
me and Jack as Batman and Robin.
Oof. Dead
I'm
so
for
soon.
sure Robin, unfortunately.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. But here's the thing. I think that you would make a better Bruce Wayne. Like you fit that personality.
So you're
a
saying
little-
Jack is a better asshole billionaire?
Yeah. Oh, yo, probably.
I think so. And he
Yeah, I
he can play to like rich society better than I could, I think. I'm pretty
Oh.
white trash most of the time. And Jack is less so, but I'd be a better Batman.
I just assumed
So
I'd be
it's tough.
Robin because I'm just more like limber, and you would just like
Totally.
knock someone in the head.
So this is the problem because I'm for sure the Batman and the Batman and Robin, but you're Bruce Wayne. So we'd have to like
So you
let's
change
switch
clothing
it.
when you get
So
to
we-
the Batcave?
Yeah, so I'm
Yeah.
Bruce Wayne, but I dress as Robin, and
Yeah.
you're
I'm a
Robin.
I'm a circus performer that is also
but
Batman.
wears like an oversized like Batman cap
Yeah, exactly.
and like the clothing, and like I'm Bruce Wayne, but it's like a little. I wear Robin, so it's like a little crop top on me.
Perfect. And Sean's the Riddler.
I'm the Penguin. Thank you very much.
Oh yeah, I guess.
Sean knowing himself too much there.
Yeah, that's definitely true.
He's like, yo, don't fuck around. I'm Penguin for
Fucking
sure.
Penguin,
Fuck
bitch.
you.
Speaking of the Penguin, let's talk about our Easter picks for next week.
So
the
stoked
Penguin
for this.
rises.
Yeah, the Penguin rises. Easter 2, the return of Penguin. So, Sean, you kind of spearheaded this. So why don't you tell us what movies we're gonna do for our Lord and Savior's weekend?
Right. For a rival church. We're
Our
taking
rival church.
a week off to talk about a rival church's savior. That we're going with the classic in pop culture, if not necessarily on screen, but I'm sure like it's well executed. The Passion of the Christ, I believe, is our
No.
classic.
No.
We're going the
Isn't
Last
that what we're doing?
Temptation of Christ.
What?
The
Yeah,
Scorsese.
we read on
with Willem
Scorsese.
Dafoe.
Oh yeah. So I wasn't paying attention. So Jack, you introduce him.
But I don't have the movies written down. So it's the
Right, so it's the
Dan's.
last-
So
All
Dan,
right,
take the lead on this.
we will be dealing with the classic Scorsese religious epic, The Last
That's it.
Temptation of Christ,
Yes.
going head to head with the classic
Nick
in its own
Cage.
right, Nick Cage spearheaded Left
Remake.
Behind. It is a remake of Kirk Cameron's Left Behind from the early 90s,
Indeed.
I believe.
Late 90s, yeah.
Yeah, which is about the rapture of Christians at the end of the world.
It's gonna be great.
So stoked. I'm so stoked for this.
Tune in or you're going to hell, I think.
Oh.
And not their hell, our hell.
Our
which is
hell.
worse.
It's a lot worse.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Our church's hell is not fun.
It's
just-
mostly watching all the Batman films, but Jack and Daniel are in them.
that would be
Yes.
awesome.
Yeah.
That would be fucking sick.
We could do it way better than Clooney and O'Donnell.
Oh, that's perfection. I don't know how you upgrade that.
All right, that's the fucking end of the podcast.